Hi, and welcome to another installment of Math Basics with Mr. Besh. Today's a short tip. It's going to be a new installment that I'm going to do, and I'm going to concentrate on vocabulary. And the first term that I've selected here is bar notation. Now, bar notation is usually presented the following way. They start out by question by saying express the fraction using bar notation. So to do this, the first thing you want to do is take your fraction 1 over 3 and make it into a decimal. To do this, you take the numerator, 1, divided by the bottom, the denominator. So 1 divided by 3 is going to give us this. Now notice, the reason why you use bar notation is when you get decimals that repeat. So what we want to do is we want to write an answer that's exact, but we want to write it in a simplified form. So what we do is, when we write our decimal value down, the term that first starts the repeating sequence will get a bar over top of it. So now, if you notice this example here, as my 3's repeat across my screen on my calculator, the answer to this as a decimal using bar notation would be simply 0.3. You only need 1 3. Where it starts to repeat is where the bar goes over top. Now, not all of them is one value. Sometimes you get fractions like this one here, and I wanted to give a couple examples just to show you all the different varieties you can have with bar notation. So now my fraction is 3 over 11. When I do the same thing and I make this guy into a decimal, I take my numerator divided by my denominator, so 3 divided by 11. Now notice what happens in the pattern here. Not one number repeats, now it's 2. So you got 2 7, 2 7, 2 7. So now to express this guy using bar notation, the bar now goes over the 2 and the 7. One of my students brought this one up the other day and they said, well, what do you do along the lines of something like this? Well, you get your fraction, it's 1 over 6. Well, now when you take this and you plug this guy into the calculator, so I take 1 divided by 6, notice I get a repeater here, but it starts out with a 1. The other thing unique about this problem is look how it ends in a 7. A lot of times students see this and they do not think this value is a repeater, and it is. A lot of calculators will take the last value on that screen to the right hand side and they will round, especially if your values are 5 or larger. And this can throw some people off from time to time. So you want to pay very close attention to that. Usually if your calculator is showing a bunch of 6's like this and all of a sudden it becomes a 7 at the end, you need to realize that it does in fact repeat. And if you ever want to take out a piece of paper and pencil and jot this down and try this thing out by taking 1 and putting it in the box and 6 outside the box, you'll notice that you will not get a 7 there. So now as a repeater, remember the bar only goes atop the value that repeats in the process. What's repeating in this is the 6, not the 1 and the 6. So now when I express this value, the value is going to be 0.1, and then the 6 is the term that has the bar over top of it. And last but not least, sometimes you get a fraction like this that's a lot more complicated. When I take this fraction here, 2 over 7, I take my numerator divided by my denominator, and look at this mess. A lot of times students will see this and they won't see a repeating decimal value, but it does. You got 285714, and then all of a sudden a 2857 again. Not all the time do you just have a few numbers that repeat. Sometimes they can be quite large. So now above all the terms that start the repeating sequence, we need to have a bar, and this is what you end up as a result. The bar goes above the 285714. Now this is bar notation. I hope you found this both helpful and informative.